I was having y'all, it's your boy Rico from Street Scores bringing y'all a Redskins report. Just wanted to break down Brandon Scherff signing his franchise tender and what the 2020 Redskins offensive line may look like. So let's get to it. Let's get it. Alright, so Pro Bowl guard Brandon Scherff signed his $15 million plus franchise tender, which will require him to be at training camp if there is a training camp. But if the NFL offseason proceeds as normal, then he will have to report, and if he doesn't, he'll get them hefty fines every single day that he doesn't report, just like I discussed with the Trent Williams video a couple of videos back. And those fines are not refundable. NFL teams no longer have the say in whether or not they want to waive those fines. So you miss training camp days, you will get fined, and there's nothing even the Redskins can do about it, even if they want to. He finally signed his franchise tender because him and the Redskins could not come together to agree on a long-term contract. His deal is worth $15,030,000 guaranteed, fully guaranteed, for this 1 year. And that's exactly what the cap hit is also. And I'm assuming that Brandon Scherff wants more per year than that, which is why he would be willing to take that $15 million this year, a single year, and then bet on himself to earn more per year after that. But right now, after signing that franchise tender, he is the highest paid guard on an average per year basis. Patriots guard Joe Thuney is making $14.7 million this year. Eagles guard Brandon Brooks is making $14 million this year. Same with Dallas guard Zach Martin. Then Andrew Norwell of the Jacksonville Jaguars is making $13.3, and Andrus Peat of the New Orleans Saints is making $11.5, and it just goes down and down and down from there. So Brandon Scherff is the highest paid guard in the NFL this 2020 season by almost $300,000. So if the Redskins were willing to pay him $15 million on a franchise tag, were they not willing to pay him $15 or $16 million per year? Because it's like, might as well, and make sure you get them long term. And then if they were willing to do 15, 16, maybe even 17 million per year, which would be smart on their behalf rather than paying him 15 million this year and risk having to pay him even more per year in the next contract they try to get done, then that means Brandon Scherff wasn't willing to take 15 or 16 or 17 million per year. He may be shooting for like 19 or 20 million or something like that. So that's a very interesting situation to monitor. But the deadline for signing franchise tag players to long-term deals has not passed yet. The Redskins have until July 15th at 4 p.m. to sign Brandon Scherff to a long-term deal. So it's not over yet. But with the coronavirus and everything is having to be done virtually, I mean, you've seen the Kyle Allen conference call instead of them having like a press conference and in front of reporters and media members, and how they're going to have Kendall Fuller, Sean Davis, and J.D. McKissick on conference calls tomorrow and all of that. You see how the coronavirus is affecting everything. I mean, scouts can't even really do their job as far as the draft goes in evaluating players, not only talent on the field, but character and stuff like that, which actually plays a big role in player evaluation. But also, NFL teams can't meet with their NFL players to see how they are, health-wise and talent-wise and stuff like that. A bad situation for Ron Rivera and the Redskins, a new head coach, who wants to see everybody prove themselves before he really actually talks money. Even somebody like Trent Williams, Brandon Scherff, and clearly Quentin Dunbar, who we just traded away because he wanted a contract extension, and Ron Rivera wasn't even willing to talk contract extension until he gets everybody in the building to see where they're at physically. So it's going to be hard for the Redskins to sign Brandon Scherff to a long-term contract if Ron Rivera hasn't been able to get Brandon Scherff in the building and to see where he's at physically and health-wise and all of that type of stuff, see his conditioning. Ron Rivera doesn't want to sign anybody long-term and throw a whole bunch of money at people that he doesn't fully trust yet. I mean, he was just handed this team just a couple of months ago. So he doesn't have a true evaluation of anybody on this team yet. But if the Redskins aren't able to sign Brandon Scherff to a long-term contract by July 15th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, then they will not be able to re-sign him, extend him, or whatever until the end of the 2020 season. Which is when they lose a lot of their advantage, because then Brandon Scherff is technically an unrestricted free agent again. And the only advantage the Redskins have over other teams is the franchise tag him or transition tag him. But then he'll technically be on the market market again by the end of 2020. So now let's get to the projected starting Redskins offense for 2020. And this is where things get interesting, because we're assuming Chase Roulier is starting at center, of course, and Brandon Scherff will start at right guard, but everything else is up for competition technically, or there's just a big hole there. And even Chase Roulier's job may not be safe with Wes Schweitzer being brought over and Ross Pierschbacher being so versatile, being able to play both guard and center. I do like Chase Roulier starting, even though he's been off a little these past couple of seasons. His first 2 seasons after we drafted him were actually pretty good and almost Pro Bowl worthy. So I expect Chase Roulier and Brandon Scherff to start at center and right guard. But then after that, we don't exactly know what's going on. Because with Eric Flowers departing for $10 million a year for the Dolphins, when we were only willing to give him $8 million a year, I would have preferred to just go ahead and give him the extra $2 million per year. But it's whatever at this point. We're assuming Wes Martin will start at left guard, but he'll be competing against Wes Schweitzer and Ross Pierschbacher. And that's good depth at the guard position, but there's no bona fide sure thing starter. Right now, it seems like Wes Martin has the advantage talent-wise, and Wes Martin showed a little something when Brandon Scherff got hurt last year, those last few games of the season. But he still hasn't proven himself to be able to hold down that left guard spot for an entire season and be productive and consistent the entire time. Basically saying I and a lot of Redskins Nation and Redskins coaches don't fully trust Wes Martin yet. He may be really good, but we just don't know that yet. We'll have to see what he looks like in OTAs, mini camp, training camp, all that type of stuff. And then left tackle is where it gets really interesting, because as of right now, it looks like Trent Williams will not be traded unless the Redskins are willing to lower their asking price in a trade, which is a second-round pick right now, which I hope they really don't do. For me, a second-round pick or higher, or just don't trade him, force him to report. Which brings us to the next option. Trent Williams will have to report if the Redskins decide not to trade him, or he'll be fined. Players that are holding out get fined a minimum of $40,000 a day. And like I said earlier, NFL teams no longer have the power to waive that fine. Once the player misses that day, the NFL fines him $40,000, and the Redskins or whatever other team are not able to waive that fine for their player as a way to show love to their player even after they held out. That's no longer an option. So NFL teams don't have that pressure on them anymore. So it looks like at this point, the most likely result of all of this is that Trent Williams will not be traded, and he will report to camp because he cannot afford to just keep taking these fines, especially with him getting paid less than what he wants to get paid. He's already losing a lot of money in his opinion. There's no way he can just lose $40,000 a day. You know how long training camp is? If there is a training camp. So more than likely, Trent Williams may end up starting for us at left tackle, but he could pull a petty, funny little move and act like he's hurt in some way so that he can technically report but also avoid playing. So either way, no matter what's going on, the left tackle position is a struggle right now. But we did bring over Cornelius Lucas on a 2-year, $5.3 million deal, and it seems like he may be the backup last resort plan to start at left tackle. He played pretty well for the Bears last season, and most importantly, he played all 16 games. He only played in 2 games total over both the 2017 and 2018 season, but then he bounced back in 2019 and was able to play every game, even though he technically only started 8 of them. But he played pretty well. He's not great, but you know what I'm saying. First of all, he's one of the tallest players in the league. Last season, there were only 3 6'9" guys in the league, and Cornelius Lucas is 6'8", which makes him the tallest player on the Redskins. He's huge, 6'8", 327 pounds. So he's definitely an intimidating presence. I mean, he's even an inch taller than Ryan B, that huge defensive tackle from preseason. He's also really athletic for somebody that size. He moves pretty well for somebody that's 6'8", 327 pounds. He was also the Bears' most improved player last season. I mean, like, the Bears actually gave him that award. And in 507 blocking snaps, he only allowed 12 pressures, 1 sack, and he had 0 penalties. He had his best season of his career by far in 2019. So it's good to see that he's getting better and better as he progresses through his career. So 2020 may be the best Cornelius Lucas yet, and his 2019 self sounds like an upgrade over Morgan Moses already. Which takes me to my next point. Cornelius Lucas can play either tackle position, so technically, if we were to find a way to fill that left tackle spot, if Trent Williams were to report, or if we were to go get Jason Peters, who is 38 years old, and his market value is at a little under $8 million per year, which is actually pretty good for somebody somebody of his talent. Even though he's 38 years old, he still brings Pro Bowl talent to the left tackle position and would be the best possible replacement for Trent Williams and would give us like a year or two as a bridge tackle to try to find somebody in the draft to be our perennial Pro Bowl left tackle for many years to come. Jason Peters seems to be like the best option at left tackle, so Cornelius Lucas could end up starting over Morgan Moses at right tackle and allow Morgan Moses to be a depth piece. He hasn't had real starting experience in the NFL. Like I said, in 2019 he started 8 games, which is the most he started in any season of his career, but he managed to play in all 16 games last year and stay healthy throughout all of them, which makes him dependable. He's gotten better since getting drafted. Like, it's been a huge jump, so I'm projecting him to get even better in 2020. And even so, his 2019 season was better than Morgan Moses. Like I said, in 507 snaps, he allowed 12 pressures, with one of those pressures being a sack, and he had 0 penalties. But even if he doesn't end up starting, and if we bring in Jason Peters to start at left tackle, if Trent Williams decides to not play for us or gets traded or whatever, we could have Jason Peters as left tackle, Wes Martin at left guard, Chase Roullier at center, Brandon Scherff at right guard, and then just deal with Morgan Moses at right tackle again, who at times can be good, but he just always has random slip-ups to where he just gets turnstiled or ends up with a holding penalty occasionally. But other than that, you know, he holds it down kinda, but having him start at right tackle another season is a scary idea. But if you have that starting 5, Cornelius Lucas can basically be a better version of Ty Nsekhe as our backup swing tackle, and a huge upgrade over Jerron Christian, because Jerron Christian, as athletic as he is, hasn't gained the strength necessary to be a true swing tackle in the NFL yet. He just gets bullied. Every time he stepped into the lineup for the Redskins as either left tackle or right tackle, he's just been getting bullied and dominated. And our quarterbacks and running backs have paid for it. So if Morgan Moses is starting, Cornelius Lucas will be that swing tackle, and Jerron Christian might not even make the 53-man roster. We'll see, but things can get really interesting with this offensive line. And like I said, I really hope if Trent Williams doesn't come back, the Redskins go and get Jason Peters, even if it is for $8 million a year for 2 years. I mean, at his best, even last year, he was better than Cornelius Lucas, who's getting paid a little under $3 million per year, paying 9-time Pro Bowler Jason Peters, who still has a lot left in the tank as we saw from how well he played last year, $8 million per year isn't that big of a jump. It isn't that much of a hit to our cap space at all. We still have top 10 cap space in the league for the 2019 season currently, and we're projected to have top 3 cap space in 2020. So getting Jason Peters on a nice 2-year deal to be our bridge tackle as we try to find our next Trent Williams at left tackle through the draft, whether it be more than likely in the 2021 draft rather than this 2020 draft, would be a really nice idea. Jason Peters can definitely hold down that left tackle spot and play at close to a, maybe even a Pro Bowl level. And the Redskins have had talks with him, but nothing has been anything advanced. So the Redskins have shown interest, which is a good thing, but so far nothing has come out of it, of course. But like I said, the Redskins have shown interest because as far as Bashaud Breeland goes, the Redskins haven't even contacted him. At least the Redskins have contacted Jason Peters and talked to him. So we'll see if they end up getting that deal done, which I really hope. But yeah, man, that's the end of this Redskins report. Make sure you like the video if you liked it. If you learned anything, please subscribe. I have so much content coming out, and I appreciate the support. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.